Imogen Heap is a real inspiration to me, and I'm sure many of you have heard of her already. She's known as a pioneer in the pop and electropop production industry, gaining notability especially with the introduction of her innovative tech ideas such as the Mimu gloves. After teaching herself music production from the young age of 15, she's gone on to release a certified gold album, Speak For Yourself, in 2005 and won 2 Grammys, to name just a couple of her awards and achievements. Her music is primarily pop, with subgenres such as electropop, art pop, and synth pop. When listening to her work, it's obvious that she has a very unique, intricate, and delicate style of production and mixing. This is something I'm eager to find out more about, and I invite you all to join me in this journey as we work out how to mix and produce vocals like Imogen Heap. I have researched this video with various articles, such as this one from Sound on Sound, and this video on YouTube, which I recommend you take a look. So this is my session. It's a cover of Be My Baby by the Ronettes, and I've tried to recreate it in a more electronica style, similar to Imogen Heap's preferred style. So we're going to be focusing on mixing and engineering the main vocals here, which I have in a group. And I'm just going to mention first off that usually Imogen Heap goes for a TLM 103 microphone, which is a condenser. However, this time around I used an SM58, which is obviously drastically different and has a much different frequency response to the TLM, so that's going to impact the overall duplication of the vocal mixing, so it's worth keeping that in mind. So I'm just going to go through and explain how I've mixed my vocals, copying her workflow and her techniques. So usually to start off, she goes through and cuts out all the sibilant sounds, so the S's and T's and plosives. She goes by hand and cuts them out using her mouse. So she usually works in the box, not really through a desk. So she'll go and cut them out like I've done here. And I also did this by hand with my mouse. And even though it's a 30-second section, I found it quite tiresome. I just feel like putting a de-esser on it would have just saved so much more time. But however, that's her technique and the way she decides to go, as I believe she feels it's just more natural and she gets to have complete control over what comes in and what comes out and what you can hear and what you should hear. Once I did that, I did it for all my other vocal layers. So I have a second vocal layer here and then a pitch down version. Now, she has quite a lot of vocal layers usually in her tracks. At times she's gone up to 30 or 40 layers. I've just stuck with 3 here today. So this is my vocal chain that I've adapted from understanding what Imogen Heap usually uses and adapting it to what plugins I can access. She records through an Avalon 737 channel strip. However, I can't obtain a plugin version of this because it's too expensive, but I still wanted to put it through a channel strip to add that saturation that an Avalon would have added to her vocal. So I've got this Omni channel strip here. I've just got the preamp here to add a little bit of saturation and a slight EQ just to add that extra characteristic. Then I did my own EQ. This was just instinctive. She doesn't really mention how she EQs her vocals, so I cut off the low end, took out some irritating frequencies and boosted the high end to keep that breathy freshness in. She normally quite likes to treat the high ends of her song to make sure they're all airy and delicate, as that's a sonic signature of hers. Keeping this in mind, I also use this plugin called Fresh Air. Now, she has not been known to use this plugin, but I thought it would work with how I'm going to treat these vocals in her style, as it just adds more air and more polish to the vocals, and I think that works with the effect we're trying to achieve here. And then usually she'll go through and automate her volume of her track by hand using a mouse again, but I opted to use a plugin instead to do so. She's been quoted as saying she doesn't usually like to use compressing because it's not natural enough for her style of producing, but when she does use this Renaissance compressor here by Waves, which I've got a fast type, fast relief, a preset called Vocal Hug, and it's just a slight touch of soft compression on the vocal group here. And in terms of effects, she likes to use delay instead of reverb in her vocal tracks, as she feels like reverb takes up too much space because usually her tracks are quite texturally rich. And she feels adding a reverb onto her vocals just takes up too much space and creates it to be too washy. So instead she'll use delay to create that sense of space and dimension. So I've got that delay here as an insert. It's called Super Tap. This is the delay that she uses. And she uses this trick she picked up from Guy, the other member of Frou Frou, the duo she was in before she became a more prominent solo artist, where what he does, now what she does, is automates it so they don't send the sibilant sound through the delay. So it kind of creates a more cleaner delay, and it's not picking up all those unwanted sibilant-y words to delay them. I found this quite an interesting tip. I hadn't really thought of it in that way before, so I did that all on my vocals. So once that was all going through the super tap, I did put a little bit of reverb on it against what she mentions, simply because I feel like my vocals were missing something. So that's my vocal chain and how I engineered my vocals in regards to Imogen Heap's sonic signature. Next, I'm going to play a snippet here of my vocals without my vocal chain, my vocals with all the effects I just spoke about, and then a last clip with the vocals and everything in the mix so you can understand what I've just explained.
So you won't say you love me, I'll make you so proud of me. We'll make them turn their heads every place we go, so won't you please? So you won't say you love me, I'll make you so proud of me. We'll make them turn their heads every place we go, so won't you please? So you won't say you love me, I'll make you so proud of me. We'll make them turn their heads every place we go, so won't you please? Be my little baby,